Good afternoon. You are welcome to this course. You are welcome to our web design course. In this section, we'll be introducing a HTML tutorial. We'll be introducing our HTML course. As we all know, that HTML is the core of web design. With only HTML, one can design a website and present it into the internet. But in the course of this study, we'll be looking at three things, or four languages that are necessary as a web designer. Are those languages which we will look at in all our videos should be HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and PHP. We have different channels for each of these courses. But first, we will look into HTML. Before we go into HTML, I want to show us the things you need to know before even you start thinking of learning or designing a website. First, in your system, you should have what we call text editors or text editor. In text editor today, we'll be looking at Notepad. For you to locate a Notepad on your system, if you're using Windows 7, Windows 8, or Windows 10, just click on the start at the left end of your system. Right click on it, you will see, you scroll to run. Click on run, you will see a platform like this. If this Notepad is not written, or if you are not seeing anything like Notepad here, just type it, Notepad. Then you click OK. If you click OK, a platform like this will open. And this platform is where you type all the code you want to use in your web development. But this is not only the platform you can easily use to design a website. You can as well use what we call Sublime. Sublime is not in this system, and also the general web design text editor Micromedia Dreamweaver. It is very, very important. Micromedia Dreamweaver looks like this. It is very, very important that you know all this. You master this application. It is very, very important that you master it. But first, I will always advise my students, if you are a fresher, if you are still in the basic part of learning how to design a website, I always urge them to use this Notepad, because Notepad will help you to learn all the processes. It will help you to understand everything about web design. Using HTML, using a Micromedia Dreamweaver, this application gives you access to already made code. The codes here has already been generated. It's just for you to locate it and place it where it's supposed to be. But in Notepad, you are the one to generate your code. The difference here is just like someone using ordinary notebook to write an essay or write a code, and someone using a phone. A phone will direct you using a maybe electronic gadget. Electronic gadget might direct you to locate some texts or languages or even sentences that you want to use. But in this, you have to generate the sentences yourself. So it is very important you learn with a notepad. Now, before we go fully into web design, there are steps one should follow to go into designing a good website. Those steps are what I call 3 steps of a web design. Those 3 steps of web design is wireframe, markup, and design proper. Wireframe is just a step that you take, like a designer or an architect. Before an architect starts building a house, he must have a plan. He must have a building design and a plan in which he has to look at before laying a foundation, or before laying a block on the, or even before digging the ground for a foundation. Now, as a web builder or as a web developer, the first thing you do, if a customer approach you or a client approach you to design a website for him, the first step you take is putting a sketch by drawing what the applicant need, what the client need. A client might be the one to design with a pencil or a pen by putting a sketch of what he or she wants, or if he is telling you what to do or how he wants the business is doing or the type of website he wants, it is for you to sketch and present to him for approval. Now, in first step, we talk about wireframe. Like in my definition here, I said that wireframe is the first process every web designer takes to execute his work. It involves the schematic diagram of the site, how it will look like in the individual frame, coordinates, the layer involved, etc. I say before we start a web design, we must have known what structure or the type of audience we want to reach. That will help us know how to navigate the structure of the website. If you come to this area, you see my wireframe design. You see at the top we have the header. The header contains the description of your website, the logo, and other necessary things that the search engine will first of all find before they will try to evaluate your site. After header, you will have the navigation bar. The navigation bar are those area where in a website you see home, content, on contact, about, community, and other pages. Those pages are essential part of the website, and we call it navigation bar. Some websites we have, after navigation bar, a slideshow environment where some of the necessary pages or some of the necessary images display in your website. Also, you have the body, the main body, we call it content of the website, sorry. And then we have a sidebar, a navigation sidebar, and also the footer. That is all about wireframing. That is all about wireframing. Like we said, we say it is a process whereby one use pencil or biro to draw a diagram of what he want to present to his or her audience. Now, after wireframing, you have gotten a picture of what you want to do. Remember, for you to do this wireframing, you need to do it to every pages of the website. This will give you a very easy access on what you want to do. It will give you a detail of what your audience or what a customer need for his or her site. After presenting or after sketching the wireframe, the next thing is what we call marking up. What we use in marking up, we normally use Microsoft Word to mark, either Microsoft Word, CorelDRAW, or Photoshop. Anything that can present a picture and a color in our design, that is what we use in marking up. Ordinarily, what markups means is just you presenting colors, pictures, and positions of how your site or the site of a customer, a site of a client should be. All these steps is to make your work easy for you. If you don't have all these things, you will be confused when you get into code writing. So now you have to present these colors and the pictures of what you want. You present it to your client as this is how I want your site to look like, or even the client can present this thing to you before telling you or asking you to design a website for him. So in a markup I say is a process of arranging pictorially the structure of the website. In this case, we should always present we should always present the index page markup, which is followed by other pages of the website. What do I mean here? Presenting the index page first. What I mean is that if you must design a website, the index page ordinarily is the home page. It is the first page every visitor will see whenever he or she types a domain name of any website. And it is very, very paramount, very, very important that in your homepage or your index page, you present all the information about your company or about your website for individual to see. Why? Because they would like to know what they want to buy, or what they are going in for. If in your shop you don't display the most elements that you sell in your shop, you will see that if a visitor just come in, just scanning, using his eye to scan in your shop, he will know that you don't have what he wants to buy, and he will leave your shop. But if the information of what you want to do or what you have is already in your shop, is presented in the counter now is what we call the index page. Is the first page every visitor sees in the website, and it carries both the header, like we said. I showed you how you can wireframe your website at the first step of designing a website. Now I said you represent it pictorially by using a markup. The same thing I did in wireframe. The logo, the header, the navigation bar, slideshow, or anything can come here. You have a sidebar, the body of your website, and the site footer. At this point, you have given your audience, or you have given your customer, you have given your client what or how his site will look like. At this point, this thing will also be done in different pages of the website for it to be easy. Your work will be easier when all these things are done. You present the pictures and the colors. You can place it in a wall while you design the website. It will be easy for you to write the code. Now, after marking up, you go to what we call design proper. At this point, this is a very crucial point of web design. If you don't know here, you don't need to come into web designing. This is a place where technology comes in. This is a place where understanding computer sciences, understanding the codes, studying your HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and PHP are made important. If you don't know here, there is no need you bragging that you are a web designer. Even with the CMS, programs on the net, without you knowing at least your HTML, you can never know how to manage a website. Now, I say that this is the concept of converting markup into HTML codes. You marked up everything you want in your website. So now is the time to convert those markup into HTML codes, CSS code, JavaScript code, or PHP code. It is a place where you present everything as you have marked it. I say it involves code writing and analysis. It is where most of the work are done, and you should have a knowledge of some web design languages for you to implement this section, or anybody that has the technique can do that for you. For good and professional responsive web site, you must have the knowledge of the following languages. Look at those languages. For you to have a responsive, professional, and a good website, we say excuse me, you must have the knowledge of these following languages. What are those languages? They are HTML, JavaScript, CSS, and PHP. You mustn't know it all. You can just study your HTML, be perfect in the HTML and CSS. I always urge my students to build a team of programmers. It is very, very helpful for you to have a team, because you must not know it all. You might have the idea of them, but you will not be professional in all of them. You might be professional in one, but in all, you need to, just like an architect. Architect might be somebody that will build the house from the foundation to the top. He will not be the one to zinc it. He will not be the one to fix the doors and everything. But if he has different team that can implement and execute his idea, it is very simple for it. It will be very understanding and simple for him to build a house. The same thing with you. For you to design a website, you need to have a team. I did not include graphic design. Knowing how to design a website, you should also know your graphics. It is very important, because you have to cut some pictures, you have to cut some images and present it in your website. It's very essential you know all these things. Now, like we said, we will be we'll be diving, and we'll be dealing more in HTML in this tutorial. Now, what is HTML? But before we go deep into HTML, I think it is very necessary you know what we have treated. I told you about the applications that you need to know or have before you start planning for a web design, and I told you about presenting the picture of what you want to do before you come into it. I told you the languages that you need to know before you become a professional web designer. In this note, I will stop this video this place, but I need you to subscribe in this video, because in the next video we'll be defining HTML and we'll be presenting the codes and what HTML is. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next